In the 1800s, Rome wasn't discovering its history. It was tripping over it. Every road passed something ancient. Every home leaned against something broken. Every day unfolded beside ruins older than memory itself. This was Rome, a city where the past didn't sit behind glass. It lived in the way. Rome enters the 19th century unlike any other city in Europe. While others race toward industry and expansion, Rome stands still, not because it wants to, but because it doesn't know how to move without destroying itself. Ancient forums lie open to the sky, columns stand half-collapsed, temples are stripped for stone, entire neighborhoods are built directly into ruins meant for emperors. This isn't preservation. It's improvisation. People cook beside fallen marble. Livestock wander through arches once meant for triumph. Children play where senators once argued. The past isn't sacred, it's structural. And that creates a problem. Rome is governed by tradition. Authority here is spiritual before it is practical. The papal states rule with caution, ritual, and memory. Change is slow. Improvement is debated endlessly. Because every decision runs into the same question. What are you willing to destroy to move forward? The ruins answer nothing. They simply remain. Infrastructure struggles. Streets are narrow, twisted by centuries of compromise. Sanitation is poor, disease lingers, jobs are limited. Growth feels constrained by stone that cannot be moved without argument. Visitors romanticize this decay. Residents feel trapped inside it. The city survives by delaying decisions. Repairs are cosmetic, projects stall, plans are revised until urgency fades. Rome learns how to appear eternal while avoiding the present. Delay becomes policy, and policy becomes habit. But the outside world is changing. Italy is no longer fragmented in spirit, only in borders. Ideas of nationhood spread faster than authority can suppress them. Railways connect regions, power centralizes elsewhere. Rome watches and waits, because waiting has always worked before. The ruins seem to protect the city, not physically but symbolically. They remind everyone of Rome's greatness, its endurance, its right to remain untouched. But symbolism doesn't feed families. Younger generations leave, opportunity exists elsewhere. Rome becomes a city of memory rather than momentum. The weight of history presses down harder with every year. And then something shifts. The ruins stop feeling protective. They start feeling restrictive. The city realizes it is admired, but irrelevant, revered, but bypassed. Rome is everywhere in history books, yet uncertain in the present. That contradiction becomes unbearable. Pressure builds quietly, not rebellion, frustration, not chaos, restlessness. People begin asking questions that don't have comfortable answers. Why must everything stay the same? Who benefits from delay? How long can a city live off memory alone? Rome has no instinct for speed, only for survival. And survival now demands a choice it has avoided for centuries. Preserve everything and remain frozen. Or change and risk losing the very thing that makes Rome Rome. The city hesitates, because once you start moving history, you can never put it back exactly where it was. By the middle of the 1800s, Rome could no longer pretend that delay was neutrality. The world outside its walls was accelerating. Italy was changing shape, borders hardened, authority consolidated, railways stitched regions together that had once accepted separation as fate, cities modernized whether they wanted to or not. Rome stood still, and standing still began to look like surrender. The ruins that once justified patience now exposed weakness. They slowed transport, limited sanitation, blocked expansion. Every proposal to improve the city collided with reverence for what already existed. Arguments stalled projects, projects stalled livelihoods. People adapted the only way they could. They built around ruins, over them, through them, homes pressed closer, streets narrowed further. Daily life became a negotiation with stone that refused to move. This wasn't nostalgia. It was constraint. As political pressure mounted, Rome's symbolic importance suddenly mattered more than its functionality. Control of the city became a prize. Whoever held Rome could claim continuity with history itself. That attention forced change. Authority weakened. Old structures of governance struggled to respond to modern demands. Decisions arrived faster, with less consensus. For the first time in centuries, Rome wasn't choosing delay. Delay was being taken away from it. When political control shifted, the city faced a reality it had long avoided. Symbolism could no longer substitute for administration. Roads had to function, services had to work, growth had to happen somewhere. The ruins were no longer untouchable. Streets widened, stones were moved. Ancient walls were dismantled carefully, documented, then repurposed. Each change felt like a wound and a necessity. People argued fiercely over every alteration. Preservation versus survival, memory versus momentum. The city learned that modernization inside history is never claimed. But Rome moved anyway. Not boldly, not confidently, reluctantly. The past didn't vanish, it never could, but it stopped being an excuse for inaction. The city began the painful task of deciding what history to protect, and what history had already taken enough. Daily life improved slowly. Infrastructure crept forward. Opportunity returned unevenly. Rome remained slower than other cities, but it was no longer frozen. The ruins stayed, but they stopped deciding everything. Rome in the 1800s wasn't fighting progress. It was negotiating with memory. Few cities have carried so much visible history, so closely woven into daily life. That inheritance gave Rome identity, authority, and reverence. It also delayed adaptation long past necessity. The ruins were never just remnants of the past. They were participants in the present. Rome survived for centuries by leaning on what had already been. In the 1800s, it learned that survival now required something harder, choosing which parts of the past could no longer lead the future. The city didn't abandon its ruins. It learned how to live beside them, not beneath them. And that balance, uneasy, imperfect, permanent, still defines Rome today. If you want history that looks past glory, that explores what it means to carry memory without being trapped by it, subscribe. This channel tells the stories of cities at the moment. They realize the past can guide them, but cannot carry them forward on its own. Mori cities, Mori centuries, Mori moments when history stops being shelter and becomes weight.